This is exceptional television. Hey YouTube, welcome back to SIBZ West Coast East Coast Siblings, where we review your favorite movies and TV shows. And tonight we are doing House of the Dragon, episode 6. Now, you guys, just being 100% honest, this was my favorite episode so far. The show has been spectacular and is clearly the best thing on television, hands down. Not even a question. Have you seen She-Hulk? Have you seen that trash? So let's get into the review. What an episode. Hands down, this was one of the best episodes in the season so far. So many things happening. Not that it hasn't been doing that the whole time, but we're back to what makes Game of Thrones so great, and it is the political intrigue, the moving pieces, the pawns and the queens. Oh, so good. So it has been 10 years since we last saw Rhaenyra and Allison. We open up with Rhaenyra having her third child, Sir Joffrey, who Selena decides to name after Joffrey, who was murdered. This entire series so far, they've really been making a point. Oh, sorry, I have my computer with me because I really don't want to mess up these notes because so much has happened. So far in the entire season, they've really done an interesting, and I would say good job at emphasizing the importance of childbearing and birth with women, like how women use their power in this world, how they play the Game of Thrones is with their children. And so they do not shy away from the graphicness, the less than great aspects of childbirth. So this scene opens, Rhaenyra looks like a hot mess. She's sweaty. You hear all of these disturbing squishy sounds, which I guess is what happens when you have a baby. I don't know, I'm assuming yes. Anyway, it's intense. But the baby is born, the baby is healthy, and it's a boy. Allison decides to request Rhaenyra's presence immediately after the birth, literally seconds. So the petty war has clearly begun. Rhaenyra agrees. It's a pretty intense uphill battle to see Allison. She has the afterbirth, and then when we finally get to Allison, she looks regal, she looks amazing, she's the queen, and Rhaenyra looks a hot mess. So clearly, Allison has made Rhaenyra's life a living hell these past 10 years out of fear, because Rhaenyra is still the heir. Viserys has not changed his mind about that, and now Rhaenyra has sons, so she will completely obliterate Allison's line and her sons. She's never forgotten what Otto told her, that Rhaenyra will kill her children. That's what Allison's motivation is. In this episode, she is just the same as she was 10 years ago. Lonely, sad, unsatisfied with life. She's done her job, she's queen, but she's bitter and she has nothing else to do, and that's only amplified in the 10 years since we've seen her. This episode is all about the children and the hell that they've caused their parents, but also the way their parents use them to get what they want. Allison makes a comment to Solaris saying, oh, keep trying and maybe one of them will look like you, which is pretty savage, but it is obvious that Black Solaris is not the father of all of Rhaenyra's white children. Rhaenyra's children are supposed to be Targaryens. You can see all the Targaryen children have, the ashen white hair, and they're very, very pale. Even Daemon's children have the white hair, even though they're mixed. So it's like a slap in the face to the Targaryens. I think to her father, whatever, we'll get into that in a second. None of those kids are Solaris's, and everyone knows it. But if they're not Solaris's children, who are they? Enter Sir Harwin. Sir Harwin, if you ask me, is pretty much like Kristen 2.0. He's the father of all 3 of Rhaenyra's children, which is just like so sad. And they all look like him. That's what's so messed up. They all look like him. They don't look anything like Solaris. They have brown hair. Speaking of children, we're also introduced to Allison's children, and their names are, we know there's Aegon, who's actually played by Ty David Tennant's son. It's a whole Doctor Who reunion. Aegon clearly doesn't want to be king. He's just pretty much like a bully and useless. He's not young king material. Allison has 4 children. Rhaenyra has 3 children, but they're all bastards. Allison has also built up a team of confidants, Sir Criston Cole, but she also is buddied up with Larys, who is the hand of the king's second son, who is also Sir Harwin's younger brother. He's basically her little finger. He's spying. He got a little bit of something in everything. He know what everybody doing at all times. So now we move on to Daemon, and in the time that has passed, Daemon has married Lana, the daughter of the Sea Snake. Now they seem to have a pretty happy basic life. He seems like he loves her. He loves their children. Kind of. He ignores one of them because her egg hasn't hatched in 8 years, so he's not really sure if she'll be a dragon rider. He seems relatively content, but I would also say he's hiding. I feel like he's tucked his tail under his legs. He's done something with his tail. His wife, Lana, she's unsatisfied. She's like, we're Targaryens, we're Valyrians. Like, there's no reason why we should be living here like this. We need to go back to where we're from. Daemon is not about it. He's not interested in all of the sick, twisting political nonsense. And you can see it causes tension and friction between them. So you can clearly see like the breaking down of this marriage, and it only gets worse. But we'll get into that in a second. So in an attempt to fix the beef between the two of them, Rhaenyra, because she's now running scared, everyone knows about her children. She offers to Allison the marriage of her firstborn son, her heir, and Allison's firstborn daughter in order to unite the households. She also offers a dragon's egg. Basically, Allison says, over my dead body. Now let's go back to Viserys for a little bit. Viserys, as we all know, is dying. The actor who plays him, Patty, said in an interview last week that he has leprosy. So basically his body is destroying him from the inside out, which we have seen over the episodes. And I don't know if you guys noticed, but in this episode, he's completely missing his left arm, I think. Parts of his body is getting chopped off. Homeboy is done. His face is covered in sores in this episode. He's sitting down almost the entire time. I think he only stands up to see the new baby. So he's not doing well. Also, he's in absolute and utter denial about Rhaenyra. It's like, bro, your grandchildren are half black, or at least they're supposed to be. Those kids are white. There's not a curl in their hair. There's not a shade on their face. They're white. He's in denial about that, much to Allison's chagrin. But he's still the king. As long as he's breathing, he's still the king. There's nothing she can do about it. So the climax of this episode is that Kristen eggs Harwin into a fight. It starts because the two boys are sword fighting, and the fight's between Allison's sons and Rhaenyra's sons. Harwin is helping Rhaenyra's sons. Kristen's like, you're very caring for a knight who's like just looking after his charges. The way you're responding would be that way of like a cousin or a brother or a son. And that just flips Harwin's lid. He spins around and starts beating the crap out of Kristen. And then Kristen's just like, haha, I won. Because of this fight in the schoolyard, Lionel, Harwin's father, decides to step down as the hand of the king. He is like, listen, Viserys, you're in denial about this, but everybody else knows that those children are bastards, and I cannot be a good hand of the king knowing what I know. Viserys says, take your son, send him back to your little castle, let him rule the castle, and then you come back here and serve me. So Lionel acquiesces. Back to Daemon and Lana. Lana is giving birth again. We see all the ties between her giving birth, Rhaenyra giving birth, and even Rhaenyra's mother giving birth. Now Daemon is in the same situation that Viserys was in, whether or not you save the child or whether or not you save the wife. We'll never know what Daemon's mind was, but it seems like he would not have risked his wife for the child. Seems like. Maybe that's just me. She does not let him make that decision. She decides she wants to go out like a dragon rider because that's what she is. So she goes up to, I don't remember what the dragon's name is. She's like, Dracarys! Dracarys! And then finally the dragon sets her on fire and she dies. And I think Daemon will probably feel guilty about that for the rest of his life, because that is kind of like the pivotal moment that pushes him out of his comfort zone. She leaves him with 2 daughters he has no idea what to do with. Yeah, so I just thought that was really heartbreaking and sad. Gosh, I really liked her. I liked Lana. She seemed like a chill dude, She's like, listen, I might not be the wife that you wanted, but I'm here, I realized I was probably supposed to give you sons, but I gave you girls. But I was a good woman, but she was just like, nah, we gotta go. We can't be staying up in here too long. Can't be getting fat and happy. And he just wouldn't do it. And so she said, well, deuces. So I thought that was a really powerful, pivotal moment where she takes her destiny into her own hands. Back to Rhaenyra and Harwin. The boys suspect that Harwin is their father. In fact, one of them, the oldest one, asks Rhaenyra straight out. She doesn't answer the question. She says, you're a Targaryen. I'm like, not with that hair. Harwin says goodbye to his children, goes back to court with his father, only for them to die in a fire. Rewinding, so Lionel's second son, the one with the club foot, Sir Larys, when Allison is complaining to Larys, he's like, oh, okay, you want me to kill them? And I'm like, bro, he's a crazy person. So Larys takes some dudes from prison, chop off their tongues so that they can't tell anyone what happened or how any of this went down. He basically tells them to go kill his father and his son. I'm like, yo, that's savage. Who kills their father and his brother? Basically leaves room for Otto, Allison's father, to slide right back in as the hand of the king. That leaves Rhaenyra without a man. She's still got Larys here, but Larys is gay. So she decides that they're all leaving to Dragonstone. And that has been this week's episode of Game of Thrones. Some of the things that I thought were really great about this episode was all of the tying things together, the foreshadowing and the the backshadowing, Viserys and Daemon having to make the same choices about their wives and their children, losing them both no matter what choice they make, the fires, Lana setting herself on fire as a way to force Daemon out of his comfort zone, and then Larys setting his father and his brother on fire as a way to, he's forcing Otto to come back, but what it ends up doing is forcing Rhaenyra to move forward. As I said in the immediate reaction last night, which check out the short, there were so many changes that happened in this episode. I feel like having a new face and a new motivation, because before we knew Rhaenyra never wanted to have children. Now we see she's had 3 children. That was a little jarring, but it was supported by an excellent storyline. And I think Olivia Cook's performance as Allison really grounded it. All right, you guys, that's all I have for this episode. Make sure you like this video. If you like this video, comment, subscribe, and click the bell so you can be notified when we drop new coverage of things. And I will see you next week. Bye.